Hello, I'm Cheryl. Welcome to my sewing room. I'm going to demonstrate how to make a pot holder with binding on the edges. Now, in the quilt world, binding is used a lot for the quilters to hold all their layers of fabric together along the edges. It also looks very decorative. So that's the technique that I'm going to show you how to use on a pot holder. Now, if you're new to sewing and you're new at being a quilter, making a pot holder is probably one of the easiest ways to start. So let's get started. Let's look at what I'm going to show you how to make. Here is an 8-inch pot holder. I selected this chili pepper fabric, this bright red background. It's got yellows, greens, and a little bit of blue in it. And I have the same fabric on the back. And I've also selected blue fabric for the binding. It helps to bring out the blue in the chili pepper fabric. Now, I like to make my pot holders with themes. My husband loves to make Mexican food, so that's why I'm making a chili pepper pot holder. All right, so let's discuss what fabrics you need to have cut. You need to have 2 squares 8 by 8 inches for your top and bottom fabric. Now, you can use different fabric on the bottom that's what's on the top. This is a great way to use the scraps up that you have from leftover projects. Then you will need 2 8-inch squares of cotton batting, or 1 8-inch square of Insulbrite, which is a synthetic fabric that helps to insulate or keeping the heat from penetrating through, and then also 1 square of cotton batting. So you have 2 choices here on your insulation. And then 1 strip 2 3/4 inches by 40 inches, which is more than enough than what you will need. All right, now you want to take your binding after you've cut it out and fold it in half all the way down, and then press it with your iron, and then just set it aside. Now, before I go any further, because we're going to talk about top stitching for the pot holder, this is a foot. It's called a walking foot. I highly recommend it. This is what it looks like from the side, and this is what it looks like from the front. It looks a little scary. It's kind of this monster pressure foot, but you will love it. Now, I had a friend who couldn't get her walking foot on her machine. It's because she didn't realize that this part here needs to go over the screw that holds your needle in your machine. So just slip that screw right in through there and your walking foot will work. All right, this helps to hold all the layers of your fabric together while you are stitching so that your fabric doesn't shift. But you can still make this pot holder without this foot. You can use a regular pressure foot. It's just that you're going to need to use a lot more pins to hold everything together. All right, now let's talk about layering your fabric. Whatever fabric you want on the bottom, you're going to lay it face down, wrong side up, then your 2 layers of batting, and then whatever fabric you want on top, and smooth it out all over the top. Now you're going to do top stitching. And like I said, in the quilt world, they understand what that is. If you're a beginning quilter, this also helps to hold the fabrics together, but it also can look very decorative. Now, if my cameraman can come in just a little closer, you will see that I have these little wavy lines all over the pot holder. All right, now if you don't have this wavy line, don't worry. You can still use a straight stitch. So let me show you samples of how I created that wavy crisscross pattern. Okay, now you're going to start in the corner and you're going to go all the way down to the other corner. Now you'll find this wavy line on most of your computerized sewing machines. It's a quilting stitch. So look on your machine if it's a computerized one and see if you have this. If not, like I said, you can do this with a straight stitch. After you've done the center, you're going to work your way out. You're going to go over 2 or 3 inches and go down, and then over a few inches more and do another one. Now you can do more lines if you want. I opted just to do this, and then go over to the other side and repeat it. Now to get that crisscross look, you're going to turn your pot holder, start in this corner and go all the way across, and then work your way out to the side so that it looks like that. Very pretty. Now on your pot holder, you can use different color of thread. That's what's on the background, because these stitches can be very decorative. It depends on the look that you want. Now if you don't have the wavy line, you can do it with a straight stitch. Now if you don't like the diagonal look, you can go side to side. And then this is what it looks like with a straight stitch. All right, so you have a lot of choices there. All right, now we're ready to put on the binding. We're going to use a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance on this particular pot holder. Now, I've placed the edge of the binding about a 1/2 an inch, here's my center, from the center. So go over a 1/2 an inch and place your binding down. And then pin it in place and pin across. Then from this side of the pot holder, from this edge right here, you're going to stitch into that corner. So you're going to go out a few inches, go down. When you get about 3/8 of an inch away from that raw edge down there, turn your pot holder and sew right into that corner. It's about 3 or 4 stitches. Now when you're done with that, you're going to fold the binding to go in the other direction, and here's the process you go through. All right. Lay this edge here straight out, even with that edge. Don't go here and don't go there. Make sure it is straight across. Then finger press, then hold it down, fold it over. Then you want to make sure that this folded area here is even with that raw edge. Then pin it down. Continue pinning all the way to the other corner. Then do your 3/8 of an inch seam starting right here at this edge, go all the way into the next corner. Do this process on all 4 corners. See there? Do this on all 4 corners. All right, now that you've done that step, we're going to cut off the excess binding. All right. Now you're going to fold over this last corner and pin it down. Then make sure this is straight. You're going to fold this over across this raw edge, and then from this raw edge here, you're going to cut a 1/2 an inch out over here, cut that off, okay, and just toss it away. Then the next step is we're going to fold the pot holder in half, pull your edges of your binding out. I usually lay my pin pad on top to hold it together. Then bring the raw edges together. Let me see if I can get it apart here. Pin those raw edges together and do a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Then after you've done that, unfold the pot holder, finger press this seam open, okay, fold it over, continue pinning, and then do your last stitching across here to where you started. Just a couple of more steps and we're almost done. Now you're going to flip the pot holder over and pin it on the back. Okay? Now, you see where my seam is here, where my stitching line is. You want to make sure you take the folded edge of the binding and bring it past that stitch line. So fold it across and start pinning it down. Then when you get to this corner, do not put the pin directly into the corner. Put it in about 1 inch away, and then put this one over here about 2 inches away. Then take a straight pin, and we're going to do this mitered corner. You're going to take your straight pin, press down and push into that corner, fold it over and pin it down. And you have this nice mitered corner. Continue pinning all the way around the pot holder and do this miter corner fold on all 4 corners. Okay, we have just one more step and you're almost done. Now we're going to stitch in the ditch. Stitch in the ditch is very familiar in the quilting world. So it's where 2 pieces of fabric come together. It's where the blue and the red meet. And I'm using blue thread on this particular pot holder because it matches my binding. But I'm going to sew on the red fabric. You won't see the stitching on the red because you're stitching so close to the blue that people aren't going to really notice it. But when you turn it over, you see that the stitching matches the blue on the back. Okay, so start in one corner, stitch in that ditch all the way across, leave your needle down, press your foot up, turn the pot holder, and continue stitching, and do that all the way around. And you have just completed one pot holder. Well, I hope that was helpful. Now, in my next video, we're going to make a hanging pot holder that looks very similar to this one. You have this nice little flower design up here in the corner with a little bit of a border around it, and this little loop to hang it on the wall or on your refrigerator or on the front of your stove. It's very decorative. It's so pretty you almost don't want to use it. So this is the type I give as gifts. So it's a great gift to give at Christmas time. So think about starting to make your Christmas presents early. All right, I'm Cheryl. I'm so glad you came to my sewing room. Now before I go, make sure you click on subscribe at the bottom of your screen. That way you will be notified of all my future videos right away. When you click on subscribe, YouTube will actually prompt you to find out if you would like to receive an email notification. Say yes, enter your email address, and voila, YouTube will send you an email with a button right in the center of that email. You click on that button and you'll go directly to my latest video. Again, I'm Cheryl. I'm so glad you came to my sewing room. See you next time. Happy sewing.